when we went to a business where creativity and innovation are at the heart of what they do. And the business that we went to wasn't a business building, it was an open space where it was obvious that things were created there, things were produced there, there was inspiration built into the space. There was places where people could sit in kind of a coffee-like feel. They could sit on couches with the light shining in through the windows and have a coffee table. But there were also spaces that were a desk where you could work, but the difference was that there was a guitar next to the desk, sitting upright, ready to be played for inspiration. Or there was bright colors on the walls and there were pictures all surrounding what they were doing. This space wasn't a space where the employees were forced into a box. They had their one desk that they sat at every day. It was an open space. It was almost as creative as the work that was produced there, and it was a place that's going to breed creativity and contagious ideas. There's no way that you can work in a space that creative and not be creative yourself, and that's the vision and the dream that we have for our students. We believe that students should be able to take risks, they should be able to explore their own passions, and that they should be creative every day, and we want to build a school that is a tool for that kind of creativity and for finding their passions. Well, obviously I owe my education to Coppell ISD. I went here K through 12, and I was creative. I was creative because of the teachers that I had. I was taught to be creative, but I think back on the education that I had and the amazing teachers that I had and how much more powerful it could have been if I had been in a school that bred creativity, that was covered with bright walls and flexible spaces where I could have gone outside and worked on my own and worked in a small group, sat outside in a courtyard, written on the walls, my creative ideas. You know, the teaching, the love for children, the idea about 21st century education is here. It's already here and it's been here and it's not going anywhere. But to be able to have a school that's going to use what we already know as educators and be a tool for that kind of learning would be amazing.
Well, definitely I think you would see daylight harvesting, so we would be using the sunlight to light our rooms and not have to use the lights maybe on a cloudy day. That way the natural light is also best for our learners, so we're using that. I think you would see a lot of natural Texas native plants outside so that we don't have to water them as much, especially in our hot summers. I think we would see solar panels on top of the roof, maybe even as some place to learn so that the students would be able, or the learners would be able to learn from actually getting to work with a solar panel. Reflective paint on the roof so that we are not absorbing all the heat, but we're reflecting that sunlight so that it cools our building. And the air conditioning system, why pump air into a classroom if no one's in there? So maybe a carbon dioxide monitor, so if there's more people in there, there's obviously more carbon dioxide, and then the system can actually decide if it's going to pump air into the room or not. And that way we're not wasting the energy. I think everywhere they turn, they need to learn.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. As a parent, I have a daughter that's a senior this year, and we moved here when she was in 6th grade. And the reason that we moved here was because Coppell is one of the top districts in the state. So I'm so excited that even though we're one of the best, that we're still trying to transform our district. And so I see this school as a place for all learners, not just the ones that think outside of the box. But I would love to see someday where our kids don't even know there's a box that they're stuck in that they have to think outside of. I think that there's going to be so many different spaces that every child will feel like they're learning to the best of their ability.
I think the role of technology is definitely one that will stand out, but is very well integrated into that learning environment. So just imagine if technology supports that inquiry-based learning that we have as a vision for our district, and students are able to utilize it throughout the learning process and when they're creating and designing products, when they're constructing their knowledge. Imagine if the learners at Lee Elementary were also able to participate in online and blended learning opportunities, and they were able to use technology to collaborate with students within the district and outside of the district. The learning spaces in the new Lee Elementary School, there's a lot of potential for us to step outside the box and think a little differently. And I think with mobile technologies, we won't see a computer lab. We'll see technology just dispersed throughout the campus. And classrooms will have a variety of tools just based upon what they need. So it's not tool specific, but it's just giving them that variety. Imagine if our elementary learners were able to be proficient with dual platforms. So it's not just a Windows-based system or a Mac system, but they're able to utilize both types of systems.
My dreams for a classroom is definitely where the learners are taking charge of their own learning and they're directing it. And the teacher is almost invisible. And what I mean by that is she's not in charge or he's not in charge. They are the ones facilitating and teaching each other. I see them working together. I see them working alone. I see lots of different types of furniture for them to be able to do that. I see flexible spacing where they can work in small groups and work individually or in large groups, that they can have big screens for virtual learning, kind of studio areas for them to Skype with people in the community and just each other from other classrooms around. I see lots of natural lighting coming in and big windows for them to be able to see outside and incorporate that into the classroom.
We want to think about the library more not as a library, traditional library, but like a learning commons where students can come at point of need all during the school day to connect, to collaborate, to create. So the resources of the Lee Library will not only be print, because what we know from research says that children still like to have that book in the hand, but it'll also be a lot of virtual resources, so that the library is really not a space, but it's actually a state of mind, and it's available to our learners 24/7, 365. We want it to be an open place, a place where students and all learners in the building can come when they need to. It will have lots of different spaces, modular furniture, everything is flexible and movable so that a space can morph into a new space at point of will. We want it to be places where there can be quiet reflection, one learner at a time, maybe quiet reading, but also maybe a group of learners that can move tables together, throw out what they're working on, work on it, create, and then put it back together. Maybe a large presentation space. We do want our learners to create and show and present what they learn, so we're going to have presentation spaces.
I think that collaboration is a key skill in anything. They need to learn how to share, how to listen to each other, and most importantly, how to reflect on projects. And spaces that would provide those opportunities will be throughout the school, utilizing hallways, areas in the library, areas in the cafe even, for the learners to have that space to sit and focus on their collaboration skills and to really utilize those and make it meaningful. Sometimes I stay up at night just thinking about how neat this is going to be and how much I wish my own children could go through this type of environment. And I think there's so many little things that we can do that will make a huge impact in the way that these learners are able to collaborate and prepare themselves for the future. I'm so excited about it.
I feel really lucky and blessed because I've been lucky enough to be a part of the Coppell ISD family for 19 years now. And it's amazing in that short period of time, not only has the city of Coppell changed, but Coppell Independent School District has changed right along with it. And I don't know about you, but if you've noticed lately, not only has Coppell changed, but the world around us has changed as well. But there's two things that have stayed consistent this whole time that I've been in Coppell that I'm very proud of, and that is one, Coppell Independent School District always puts the learners at the heart of every decision that they make. And Coppell is known for its educational leadership and vision. And so to be a part of this design team is an opportunity of a lifetime. I mean, can you imagine what this school can be for learners? We know that the world has changed. We know that we have to change for our learners. And so I'm excited to think about having a part in designing a school building that's not just a box building. It's a place where kids can come and learn, and the school itself becomes a tool. I mean, how cool would it be? Can you imagine if you walk into the school property or walk onto the school property and there's evidence of learning that's taking place already. You have kids working out in an outdoor learning center. You walk into the building and kids are walking around with these iPads and you're wondering, what are they doing? And then you take a closer look and you see that they have a dashboard on the iPad and they're recording and looking at data of how much rainwater has been harvested, how much energy are we using, and the lack of electricity that we're using because we're using so much solar and wind power. Kids, they are just naturally curious learners, and they have two main questions for everything: why and how. Can you imagine if the whole building has mechanical transparency? So when the kid starts asking, well, where is this rainwater that we've been harvesting going? You can walk up and see a panel revealed where the pipes are, and you can have that really in-depth, authentic discussion about the mechanics and the design and engineering that goes into a building.